Let's have a look and a listen to Nikki Noboats on RNZ this morning. It's not a long chat, but Corin Dann has an interesting sort of a few stabs in there as to, but hang on, because this is the thing that we were talking about with Craig, right? But hang on, you guys made predictions and the predictions were wrong. Don't you have to at least own that? No. Look, we understand that you, that there were some things that have come up in the last few months that you didn't forecast, but because you did forecast incorrectly, do you not have to at least own your incorrect forecast? No, nothing like that, Chewie. Let's have a listen to Corin Dann with Nikki Noboats.
Now, the Treasury's half-year economic fiscal update is, well, universally being described as bad news. The only difference seems to be over who's responsible and what's to be done about it.
National is saying Labor bad. Everyone else is saying Nikki Noboats.
The update showed slower than expected economic growth, lower than hoped tax revenues, and tighter than wanted room for government spending. Finance Minister Nicola Willis joins us now. Kia ora, good morning.
Kia ora.
Kia ora, good morning, Corin.
You knew at the election and afterwards that the books were in bad shape, that there was uncertainty around the finances. Economists were warning you about that, yet you persevered with tax cuts. Was that the wrong decision?
Great question. Off the bat, out of the park.
Yeah.
Great question. This is a decision you made, Nicola. Are you going to say it was wrong or are you going to own it?
No, that was the right decision because we did so within an overall package of spending that was far less than the last government had set out. In fact, we delivered $23 billion worth of savings, so we were responsible about it. Since the election, Treasury have...
Just reminding you, Chewie, we were responsible about the tax cuts that they borrowed for whilst complaining about how much Labor borrowed for. So them being responsible means we borrowed good, they borrowed bad. Sorry, you were saying?
That literally every financial expert was like, this is a bad idea. This is inflationary. What the hell are you doing?
Yep.
That it was all linchpinned on a whole bunch of other things happening that never happened.
Yeah, 100%.
Changed some of their forecast assumptions. One, they've said that the recession that we're currently in started earlier, has been deeper and has persisted longer than they had imagined. And second, they have revised their...
But why? Why, Nicola? Why is it lasting longer? Why is it deeper? Any responsibility for you guys? Nope.
Forward-looking productivity assumptions based on what's actually happened over the past few years. So I can't control their forecast assumptions. I can control our response.
Well, you took a risk,
right
and you were warned. There were economists like Michael Riddell, former Reserve Bank economists, saying back in March 2024 that the books were in an uncertain state, not to go ahead with tax cuts because of that uncertainty. You took that risk. Do you not have to bear some responsibility for that?
What I take responsibility for is the fiscal...
Let me tell you this, Chewie. She is a far better politician than Christopher Luxon. This is a bullshit answer that she gives. I've just come back 15 seconds, so we'll get it again. This is a bullshit answer that she gives, but it is a very clever piece of political manoeuvring. She doesn't go... What I would say to you is, as she thinks about it, she's like, bam. Remember prior to the election, we were going, Nicola Willis is actually from the left, the kind of the scary leader for the future because she seems competent. You just listen to how smooth this response is. She takes no responsibility. She doesn't acknowledge it and she goes straight to her talking point. Horrible, wrong, dumb point, but executed like a professional.
March 2024, that the books were in an uncertain state, not to go ahead with tax cuts because of that uncertainty. You took that risk. Do you not have to bear some responsibility for that?
What I take responsibility for is the fiscal consolidation that needs to occur in New Zealand. And our government has been very consistent in saying that this is a time for fiscal discipline. We have been making savings that other parties in Parliament have just about every day attacked and said are the wrong thing to be doing.
Correct. Correct. Like ripping the heart out of the health system. Correct. Wrong cuts to be doing. Well, yes, correct. Stopping building houses at Kainga Order. Correct. Wrong thing to be cutting. Yes, they've been saying they're wrong. But did you see what I mean? That was smooth, man.
Yeah.
You give her points for that, for the political answer, the way she did it.
I agree. I think it's the English. I think it's also her experience as a lobbyist.
Yeah, true.
Remember, she was a spokesperson for Fonterra for many years.
Yep, lobbyist at New Zealand Initiative as well.
Tobacco, spokesperson background. And that's what you say. Like, this is why Hipkins made such a devastating shot at Luxon and Willis in the House today. I don't know if you saw this. Like, for anyone that criticizes Hipkins for being a little bit soft and needs a little bit of mongrel, definitely watch the clips from Question Time today. Hipkins asked Luxon, what do you think Nicola's going to replace first next year? The ferries or you?
That's great.
Just
and then what I would say to you is fiscal conservative and glitch. Is that what he did?
Yeah. I tell you what, there's a lot of MPs on our side of the argument that were dropping bombs like it was Guernica in the House tonight. So definitely hunt those out. But yeah, no, look, you're right. She's a better politician.
Yeah.
She's a terrible economist.
Yeah.
Terrible finance minister. Absolutely wrong in every way. But that is an answer that would play well with people that just don't know.
Yeah. Yep. All right. We'll keep going.
We're also working very hard to drive growth across the economy because we recognise that for New Zealand to get out of this very challenging set of books, we are going to have to grow faster. And that's why we're doing things like the fast track legislation, looking at new ways of delivering infrastructure, making sure our science system is more commercial.
Is there any consideration of, for example, delaying the full implementation of the landlord tax?
No.
Are there any other programs that you had planned that you may now can because of the situation the books are in?
Well, what we are doing is...
See, another one, divert. She's not going to answer your question, Corin. She's not going to say what we're going to can. She's going to tell you what they are going to do. You know, we can pull this apart just like we could pull it apart from Luxon saying it. But I guess what what I would say to you is, Whānau, she's a lot better than Luxon at this game. And she's a lot more confident and she's straight in there. And if she was the leader of National, I would be more worried about National than Christopher Luxon, personally. Oh, I pushed play, didn't go. Let's go again.
Working very carefully to put together a program of savings so that we can ensure that next year's budget fits within very constrained operating allowances. What that means is we want to ensure that there is additional funding for health, for education, for police, for defence, to provide redress for those survivors of abuse in state care. And in order to fund that, we will have to find savings across other parts of government, and we are on a clear program to deliver those savings.
$6 billion worth of savings, budget, as David Seymour seems to think you need?
Oh.
Well, we haven't actually set a figure on that yet because it will depend which spending commitments we make and at what level.
But you got to also give her props. She goes straight to the survivors of state care. I mean, who's going to say, "Oh no, just don't worry about those"? So it's an ugly. It's an ugly sum total, but it's a clever. She's got her Christmas present and she's wrapped it pretty well. The contents is like eating a pot of shit, but she wraps it better than Luxon does.
She's using the fact that they're the government at the helm for the end of that abuse and state care program.
Yep.
She is throwing the fact that they're announcing financial redress and they're using it as a fucking distraction.
Yep.
Can I just say how utterly reprehensible that is to bring that up in this discussion? Like, it's a pot of money, don't get me wrong, but it is a tiny pot of money in comparison to all of these other things we're talking about. Nicola Willis, how fucking dare you? How dare you throw Lake Alice as a fig leaf over the disgusting shit show of you charging damn the torpedo speed against all economic practice and advice that austerity doesn't work, and you're sitting here going, I don't know what's happened to our tax take. It's blown all of our plans out of the water. Who could have predicted this? We gave money to the poor abused children. We're ignoring the children now. You know, we're taking funding away from kids that suffer under trauma now. Kids that have suffered sexual abuse. We're taking money away from those kids, but we're giving. Look, I'm a good person. Like, there's so much to unpack there, but her using that. It's like, oh, of course we've got to find money for this because what they went through is horrible.
Everyone would support that.
No one is questioning that.
Yeah.
You could have fucking doubled it. We wouldn't have criticized it. We'll criticize everything else, and we'll criticize you now for bringing it up.
Kiwi Boudico is what you're saying. Nikki is hiding behind victims of state abuse.
Disgusting.
And Mr. Arvids just says, why is it challenging, Nicola? Honk. This has got a couple of minutes. Let's just get to the end of it, I think. Or maybe not the full end, but let's just see what comes up next.
Now, the Treasury's half-year economic fiscal update is, well, universally being described as bad news.
I jumped back to the start. Don't know why I did that. Oh, well. I guess that's the end of it for us.
Thanks, RNZ.
Thanks, RNZ. Brilliant. Yeah, and like I said, don't get me wrong. I'm sure people aren't reading into this, what I'm about to say, don't get me wrong on. Not saying it's good, not saying she's a good person, not saying she's clever. I'm just saying that.
Or correct.
Do you know what? I don't want to say it in a horrible way, but sports analogy, Chewie, you know me. Christian Cullen, one of the greatest rugby minds and players we've ever had. It's been said, and look, I love Christian Cullen. He was sort of my era. So nothing against him, but it said he wasn't the smartest tool in the shed, the sharpest tool in the shed. But what he did well, he did at a literal worldwide level. Like, he was the best fullback in the world. And so what I'm saying is that these people who are incompetent in some areas, they can do one thing really well. And the one thing really well seems to be able to do is the talking game within politics. She's very good at it. She's very good at it.
We had someone on the show last night that's very good about talking about politics and that sort of thing.
Yes.
Nikki Schwarber.
Yeah.
The difference is, I think, when did I call her Nikki Schwarber?
You just did.
That's an unholy abomination. I withdraw and apologize. Okay. Chloe Schwarber. She's very good at talking and explaining terms, and it comes from a place that I 100% believe her authenticity and her belief in what she's talking about.
Yep.
It's authentic. I hear Nikki, again, very good at talking, very good at doing a politics, and it's all bullshit. Does she believe it? I don't know. I don't understand how anybody with even a passing understanding of economics could not understand, by following the steps of austerity step by step as she has, that it would deliver exactly the same result that it has everywhere it's been trialed, and then sit there a year later going, well, look, nobody could have predicted this.
Because everyone did.
Can we just get, like, this is why people hate politicians, man. Like, yeah, she's better at answering a question with better lies than Luxon can. What's better? There isn't.
But what that does is it makes her seem more competent. And even though the policies might be exactly the same, if not worse than what Luxon's trying to do, because she seems competent, she seems more plausible, people will believe her to be a more genuine, a human being to lead them somewhere. So that's what it is. This is this game that you play in politics. I mean you're basically a salesman, aren't you?
I've seen her talk on things that she clearly cares about. I've seen actual human emotion out of Willis. And then when she's in these positions, in these sort of more adversarial interviews, she kind of puts on this hardened shell, like a hermit crab. And you get this hard, like she's biting off the end of her words. She's speaking like a primary school teacher, and you've done something very bad. And it's not authentic all of a sudden. Yeah, and I get being a politician at times means putting on a mask. You know, it's a performance and that sort of thing. And I think this is what turns people off.
I think about the secondhand Corolla. You know, just sometimes. Good, workshop reliable, secondhand Corolla. The intonation, that's right. But that there was adversarial. That was like bang, 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 bang. In those instances, she seems to be a lot stronger.